I'm Sean Neufeld, and you're watching Just TV. Today, we're going to talk about Marshall Rosenberg's nonviolent communication, and I'm hoping you get lots out of it.
Hi, welcome to Debbz Den. This is Deb coming to you live from downtown Lethbridge, Alberta. And today, I'm so happy to have you here, Sean. It's great. I heard you do a talk a month or so ago, and I just thought that was a very impactful conversation. And it was about conversation.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting to know how our words and our actions can make a difference in people's lives and make a difference in our own lives.
Yeah, the way we talk to ourselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's definitely a thing. So I'm just going to make sure that we're on Facebook here and that we're all live. And I imagine that it is. We're probably good. We're a little bit of internet issues here, but I think it's probably good, and we'll just go with it. It says it's working.
Okay, I'll believe you.
Okay. If not, we are definitely live on the radio, and everything else looks like we're doing good too. So we're just going to continue on, and thank you for coming in and watching us live on Just FM, Just TV, Facebook and YouTube, and the website. I'm Deb from Debbz Den, DebbzDen.com. If you want to get any information about me, you can contact me there. And Sean, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself first, where you're from? And
Well, I want to tell you about how I got into this.
Okay, that sounds good.
Being a spiritual seeker for about 16 years, I've experienced many different things, like non-ordinary states of reality, right? And through many different methods.
Yay!
And
for open-mindedness.
And, lots of relationship stuff and lots of communication stuff. And my ex-wife is actually a counselor, so I got to learn a lot about that.
And be on the couch.
Oh, man, yeah. We did the workbooks. We did that, seeing other counselors.
Oh, wow.
And, as much as we tried, it didn't work. And
so you know what works and what doesn't.
Well, okay, there's a lot to it, for sure.
Yeah.
But it was funny because as soon as we split up, I jumped right into Marshall Rosenberg's Nonviolent Communication. And I just want to show people this book because...
It was Marshall
Rosenberg.
Marshall B. Rosenberg,
yeah.
Ph.D.
And, he's known throughout the world. So, I'm not bringing anything new here. I'm just giving my perspective of it. And hopefully...
And what does it say?
Nonviolent communication.
Nonviolent, okay.
And really, I learned that this is a way to create world peace, community peace, relationship peace, and inner peace.
Well,
and so this is a formula.
That's a big thing.
I know. So
saving the planet on Debbz Den today.
Yeah, good one. So really, he says there's a real basic formula, and I'd love to just go through that basic formula and then do a bunch of examples. And that would be my hope for what we can do here today. Okay. So just run through the basic tools, one of them being empathy. The importance of empathy is really paramount in this work. And so I don't know where to go next.
So with
I have so much I want to say.
Empathy, that is just putting yourself in somebody else's shoes?
It's
like that poor person in that ambulance going by?
Yeah, it's like, how do I relate to that person's feelings, that person's needs, that person's observations and perspectives of reality? How do I silence my own perceptions and be as clear as I can for what they're experiencing? So as soon as I create any type of judgment, I automatically leave their field and enter my own field. So if you said something like, oh, I'm feeling really sad today, and I said something like, oh, I'm feeling sad too, right? I'm instantly in my own field, I'm not in your field.
Oh,
okay?
See, there's one of those aha moments. I think I'm pretty guilty of that.
I'm gonna go over some examples here.
I thought I was like just trying to be empathetic by saying I understand.
Yeah, no, I know.
Oh, I'm
this
wrong.
That's what I mean when I say this can change the world. I'm not joking.
Oh my
yeah.
God, that would be like somebody saying I had a bad day, and you saying, "Well, me too. I had a bad day
yeah,
too."
Yeah. You're not empathizing then. And
What
one
are
of
you
the
doing?
Key, I know.
Oh my God.
So one of the I know it's so bad. Eh? So and one of the problems in my relationship with my wife, who was a counselor, was I wasn't validating her feelings. And like, how many times do I look back and think, oh, I wasn't validating her feelings, I wasn't validating other people's feelings, I wasn't validating my own feelings.
That's not intentional. I kind of was trying to say that I understand how you feel because I
Yes.
feel that too.
Yes, you're
But
trying to relate.
Trying
But
to
it's,
relate.
I know. Isn't that sad?
Oh my.
Well, that's why that's why there's books about it. And there's another book I want to share, and this one's called The Compassion Course, and it's by Tom Bound. I guess you can't really see it that well.
No.
But The Compassion Book, The Compassion Course by Tom Bound. And in that, it's a year-long process, which I've done, almost all of it, of just every week you're journaling and you're approaching the nonviolent communication in a specific way. So I could just spend the whole hour on that book alone.
Oh, right. Yeah, I know. And you know, I told you that, you know, the time, I know, I've talked to you a few times, I thought, don't worry, the hour will fly by faster than you can believe. It will.
Which is too bad, though.
Yeah, well,
personally.
We could always go longer, too. Or cut it up and you could come back.
Yeah, there you go. So, I do want to just stress how basic it is and yet how complex.
Well, that's what I thought, too,
Yeah.
is when you were talking about, you know, we use these words, like you have these words. Let's talk about feelings, first of all.
Yes, feelings.
So, feelings. What do people's... Okay, so then how would I answer that when somebody says they're having, you know, a bad day? Things didn't go well for them. How do I...
Show empathy.
How do I
connect.
show...
How do you connect?
How do I do that without making it a little bit about me? I think.
Oh yeah, that's the trick.
that's the trick, is let's not make it about me.
And before I answer you, I would love to give an example.
Okay.
So I'm at a friend's house.
Okay.
And this happened a few months ago. And this kid is describing a story. He's a young adult. He's describing a story about how a friend of his was in a car accident, got brain damage, never the same. Okay, so you could tell he was like visibly a little upset. He was starting to show a little bit of emotion, a little bit of his own feelings. Right away, everyone in the room, there's about 6 people, everyone in the room started, oh, I remember a time when this, or oh, that's the way life is.
I know, don't we all
Or
do
another
that?
one was like, oh, I had a friend who happened, you know, committed suicide, whatever, their story.
Yeah.
And I watched as this
I
kid.
totally get it.
And yeah, and so I noticed myself like, whoa, I'm ready to give my advice, because that's what I do.
What's my
I'm
pity
going to
story?
give my advice now to help him, right? And rather than do that, I was like, no. I've been doing nonviolent communication too long. I know what's going on here. He sinks back further and further. You just see him slouch over there talking about it, and we've forgotten about him.
Uh-oh.
And we forgot about his feelings, his needs, what he was trying to express. And so they were all talking, and I talked louder. I talked over everyone else. I was like, so how does that make you feel? Like, you know, what's going on for you? And right away I could see, like, he stopped slouching over, and he was like, hey,
Somebody's listening.
somebody's paying attention to me. Somebody cares about me. It's like, so rather than fall into my old patterns like everyone else was doing
could imagine.
habitually, it was like, oh, let's show this guy some empathy. And sure enough, the connection was super strong. And, you know, you could feel like genuine care and appreciation. And
Okay. Like, sorry,
so
all you people
go back
that
to your
I've
question.
done that to.
Yeah.
Everyone. No.
Okay,
Just
right there,
about.
self-empathy. Sorry, everyone. So what are you doing right now? What you're
I'm
trying
learning.
to do?
I'm
Yeah,
learning.
we're learning.
I'm
We're
learning.
learning.
I'm
And what we can do is
learning.
give ourselves empathy. Like, I realize I wasn't doing the best I could. I'm learning. You know, I'm trying, but. So it's not like beat myself up, like, oh, I did the wrong thing, or I should have done better. It's like, oh, I see where, you know, if I really want to connect with someone and care about that person and show them that I care, I can use empathy.
Okay, now I know what empathy is a little bit better, because apparently I didn't know.
You know, I didn't know we'd be talking about this right away, but I want to go over what is not empathy.
Okay,
'Cause Marshall gives
that is really important, I think, because I didn't understand that is really being ingenuine when
Yeah,
you
I know.
It's not being very helpful when somebody's having a bad day and you compare it to your bad day.
Exactly.
It's like misery loves company.
Yeah.
And that,
And you can-
that doesn't sound right.
And you can play into their story, and then they'll go off even more about their story. But he gives even more examples about how we can just really get to the needs and the feelings and what might help that person. Like, imagine if you had somebody in your life who every day was coming to you and saying, "How can I make your life better? What can I do for you right now, specifically in this moment, to make your life better?" Imagine that was just constant, like every
It'd be
day,
like
someone all the
Christmas.
time. Yeah, and imagine somebody was doing that for you, coming to you and saying, like, and you're doing it for them, like, okay.
Well, that would be a really nice thing to
It
have
would be
in life.
nice, wouldn't that be nice?
Oh yeah, my brain can't quite get to that point, but like
Yeah.
it would be something nice
like a
to
genuinely intimate relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is very helpful for those of you who have trouble communicating. And what was the next thing?
Okay, so you said your question was, somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, I'm having a bad day. How do I respond?" Here's
Right.
how you don't. Here's
Okay,
how
that is
Marshall
the
says to
question.
not respond.
How not to respond is the first answer.
Okay, so he gives you an example of what empathy is not. Advising. So an example is like, "Well, I think you should do this," or "How come you didn't do that?" One-upping. "Oh, that's nothing. Wait till you hear what happened to me."
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so then there's educating. And next time when you hear these in your own language or in someone else's language, you can catch yourself and be like, "Oh, wait a minute. Empathy. Think. Get out of the habitual thinking."
I'll be biting my tongue.
Exactly. And so now educating. "Oh, this could turn into a positive experience for you." You know, like,
Well,
to...
take the love and the lessons,
Yeah,
toss
that's
the
right.
rest
Yeah,
underneath
yeah,
the,
there you go.
sweep it out the door.
Yeah. Well, it was meant to happen, right? Okay.
Everything is.
Counseling. "Well, it wasn't your fault. You did the best you could." Or no, consoling. Sorry,
Consoling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we try to do that when it's repetitious. Eventually.
Well, it's all about getting to the feelings and needs.
Okay,
'Cause you can
so
keep
I was
playing
wrong there, too.
Well, you can keep playing into the story forever. Like, the story never ends.
Oh yeah, I mean, when
unless
the story is a never-ending story.
Well, exactly, and sometimes in our own minds it can be like, "Oh, I was traumatized when I was young, and it's still there. You know, it's still bothering me. It's on, the cycle." Okay, another thing we can do or not do, I mean, is
Not do.
storytelling.
Oh, that was,
That reminds me of a time when blah blah blah.
yeah.
Okay, shutting down. "Oh, cheer up, don't feel so bad." Or another one like would be, let's say a boy gets hurt. "Oh, that's nothing to cry about. Get up, walk it off, whatever. Just
Walk it off.
walk it off. Oh, you
Go
have
for
a feeling.
walk out. Yeah, go.
You have a feeling. Oh, you're
go,
hurt.
Go for
Go
a walk
walk it
around
off.
the lake. Go for a walk around
Yeah.
the lake and get some nature.
Yeah. See, but that's not empathy. Okay, so sympathizing. Here's a good one, because you think sympathizing. Oh, I'm being nice to the guy, right? No,
Thinking
no, no.
so, trying
Oh,
to.
you poor thing. What can I do for you? Oh, sad, right? No, no. Interrogating. So
Oh,
that's when you're
what
wanting
did
to know,
you
well,
do
what's
wrong?
happening? Yeah, like, when did this happen? Or
What
why
time?
is this
Where are
Who
they?
was
What are they
it?
doing? And what's
Yeah,
going on?
yeah.
And
And then that makes it sound like you're interested.
It does.
But it's not empathy. Okay. So then we got explaining. I would have called you, but I had this to do, or I had that to do, or you're trying to give an excuse or something, right? Like,
I'm really busy right now. Can I get you back in like 15 minutes?
yeah. So someone comes to you and says, "Hey, I've had a really bad day," and you're trying to say, "Well, like, I really want to have a good talk with you, but I can't." And like,
3
so-
days later. Oh, by the way, how'd that turn out?
Yeah. And then the final one is correcting. So,
Oh.
you're seeing it the wrong way. Like, life's not like, I'm having a really bad day, and then you're like, well, who says this is a bad day? It seems like a good day to me. Like,
Okay, maybe that
What's
one I
some
don't
in your
use so
life?
much, but
Oh,
I think
yeah, but-
every single one of those other ones, I think I know I've touched on every one of those. Usually when you're going through
yeah. So
with somebody
that's-
who's close, who's going through an issue,
So now we should probably
probably
talk
go
about.
through all of those stages.
So, before we beat ourselves up about this, and I do want to talk about how to be empathetic. That's this major part of NVC, major part. I do want to talk about one other thing first, and that's what we do when we hear bad news or when we hear a bad situation or something arises in us. And I'll give you an example. I was riding my bike one time, and it was late at night, and I was driving through a parking lot, and there was two women standing near a car, and I overheard them say, "Oh, watch out, here comes a rapist." Okay, so that's an example of a situation that's like, a bad vibe, let's say, bad energy, okay? And I'm sure the audience or you have many examples of bad situations, right? Like where something goes not so good. Here's what we can do. There's 4 things Marcia Rosenberg says. The first thing we're going to do is we're either going to blame ourselves, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have been doing that, or it was my fault. Like, let's think of an abusive relationship where a husband and wife are arguing, and let's say the husband will hit the wife, and the wife will say, oh, it was my fault, I antagonized him or something.
I think that happens a lot. They justify.
Yeah, so that's the first thing. The other one, blame the other person. That person's being a jerk. You get cut off in traffic. He's being a jerk, or the politics. You can go on and off about politics or whatever the case. Blaming other people for your misfortunes, your problems in the world.
I'm thinking, how many times have I done something like that even just this week?
Oh, every day. Every day. And you know what's funny? Now that I've learned about nonviolent communication, I'm out in public, and I see it all the time.
Oh, my God.
All the time. People blaming themselves, blaming other people for, I'm the victim, or, why can't my life be better?
The government's problems are kicking me down.
Oh, just nonstop pollution, corporations, why do I have to work? Oh, it's because my boss is making me work.
Yeah.
And, okay, here's what Marcia Rosenberg says.
Okay.
Rather than blame self or blame others.
Oh, take a deep breath.
Yeah, I know. We're just getting started here.
Oh.
What about sensing our own feelings and needs, which can be scary, it can be vulnerable, it can be eye-opening, it can be hard, especially if we've been in denial for so long. How do we actually feel our own feelings, and how do we actually find out what our needs are? And his use of empathy is how we do that.
How do we find our own feelings?
How do we take a situation like when I was in the parking lot and those 2 women said, "Oh, here comes a rapist."
Oh my God.
I could have blamed myself. Oh, I was too close to them, or oh, it was late at night, or maybe it was something I was wearing. It looked like a rapist. I could have blamed them. Well, what kind of world do they live in where there's rapists everywhere?
Yeah.
Like they're being judgmental. They're being rude. Okay, or I could say, what are my feelings and needs in this moment? Like, oh, I'm feeling kind of confused. Like, why are they saying that? I'm confused. And then my need might be for them to understand or have more clarity about what I am. Like, I don't want to be misrepresented, right? I want to be sure that I'm being seen as my authentic self. I don't want to be seen as a rapist. So I would have a need for being seen as someone who's being authentic.
Right.
Or, that's why I have this need list here.
Yes.
So I can see what need I might have been having, like maybe a need for empathy, right? Or I don't even know.
That's a big word now to me. Empathy means a lot different.
Yeah, and that's just
the
one of the
whole
words.
Just
I know.
There's a list of 200 words here. Oh my God.
Or maybe I would have had in that moment a need for communication.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm feeling like I'm being misrepresented, I might want to go over to that person and talk to them and be like, "Hey, I'm not actually a rapist. Have a good night anyway, though, right?" Okay. Now the 4th thing that we can do is the feelings and needs of other people. So so those people that said that, what are they feeling? Well, they're feeling scared.
They're fearful.
They are in fear, and they're just wanting to feel safe, and they're trying to be alert. So she was simply alerting her friend, "Hey, be alert. Here comes somebody on a bike. They might be a rapist. I'm worried about our safety." So now all of a sudden, instead of being like, "Oh, they're being rude or judgmental," it's like, well, no, actually they were just in fear. So I'm no longer upset at them. I'm no longer. They could have said anything about me.
No longer taking it personal.
That's right. They could have called me the worst names in the world, and I wouldn't have cared.
And that's good.
Yeah.
Because it's really not your business what they're thinking.
That's right. but this is how I can transform whatever's coming at me, whether it is, you know, the worst thing that you can
Well,
think
that was
of.
probably one of the worst things.
I've had way worse things than that. Way worse. That was a stranger. What about when it's somebody that I love? When it's somebody I want to communicate with, and now all of a sudden they're rejecting, or what I
or they don't
perceive
trust
as,
you.
Yes.
Then that's terrible.
Then how do I take that?
Yeah. Okay. So there's my next
okay,
question.
yes.
So if somebody is they don't trust you, and you're giving them everything, and you know you're communicating constantly, and they still don't trust you because something happened to them in their past or whatever it is.
So that's where you introduce empathy. So you would say something like, I'm getting the sense that my need for trust isn't being met right now.
Right.
So I'm feeling a little bit like disheartened, maybe a little agitated, maybe a little sad. I'm wondering, and then you'd make a request. And that's something we haven't even covered yet. Oh my gosh.
Okay, that's good. We're not worried about time, right? So
Oh,
we started
okay.
late, so that clock is fast.
Okay, that's a fast clock.
Yeah, we're
good.
not on that.
Okay, so then it's a matter of making a request to the person.
Mm-hmm.
And you could do it in a way that shows you're being empathetic to them.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get better at knowing how to do this, it becomes easier. At first, it can be very difficult. Like
Yeah,
when
I'm
I
really
first read this
confused
book,
right now. I'm totally confused
I
because
know.
everything I just thought was okay has just been not right.
yeah, it's taken me a year to get to here.
I might have to watch this show a few times.
And it's going to take me another few years to get really good at it. But so we're talking about someone comes up to you and they're not trusting you, and it's somebody you want to create trust with that person.
Right.
So you would ask them, what's preventing you from reaching a level of trust that I am wanting? Or you could say something like, are you willing to work with me at achieving more trust within me, like to provide me with a level of trust? What are some scenarios we can work at together? And you need to be very specific about what you're looking for. Like just to say, oh, I need more trust. That tells the other person almost nothing. You need to be very specific, action-oriented, so it's not what you don't want. You can't say something like, well, you know, I'm tired of all this, you know, disorganized mess. I don't want disorganized. No. You say, hey, I would love to have a little more order, you know, and you be very specific. I'm noticing the kitchen table is a little dirty. Well, not even dirty. I'm noticing there's a whole bunch of apple peels on the kitchen cabinet or on the kitchen counter. Are you willing to create some type of agreement with me where we can have more cleanliness regarding the apple peels on the counter? Like, can you help me clean it up?
Wow, that sounds like a lot of patience.
Oh, yeah, I'm not describing it very well.
That sounds like, I mean, if I had to go, because, you know, you might want to just say, hey, why don't you clean up after yourself?
Sure.
And you're
but,
saying,
okay,
like,
but right away
you're
that creates
saying-
resentment. And,
See, well, I'm still trying to work with what you're saying
Yeah.
there. Like, this is a mess. Are you going to clean it up? Like, that would be something that would be,
well, that's more of a demand.
yeah.
Because then
Are
what
you
happens
going
if
to
they
clean
don't?
it up? Or, oh, I don't like this mess. Or do you want me to clean this mess up? Or
Okay.
how would you
and-
go
and
about
yes,
that
Okay,
then?
no, this is good. Why are we going to talk about our feelings and needs? So the other person understands why it matters to us. So we can say, just clean up the mess already.
Or just
Okay.
go clean it up?
But why though? Why does that matter? If we explain people why it matters, then they can understand the reasoning behind it. And then if they care about us, they'll do it not out of obligation, not out of duty, not out of guilt, not out of shame, but because they want to.
And that's where we want to be at.
We do not want to be labeling people. We do not want to be creating guilt or shame or obligation. Like if you ask someone, why do you go to your job? Well, I have to. Okay. Well, how much joy are you experiencing in your life? Right? Like, is that really what we want? Are we wanting to demoralize people and force people to create the world we want to see, our values? I want a clean counter, so you clean up your mess. I'm then all of a sudden of an authority, judging them as being less than me, and that's where violence can begin. And that's where adversarial problems can arise. So when you're
For
saying...
being demanding and
Yeah. So, okay, I got to go to the basics. I
Okay.
totally forgot. My gosh.
That's okay, because we're still digging into stuff that I think all people have issues with in their life,
Yeah.
and it's not because of for lack of compassion or trying. It's just really not knowing,
Yeah.
not realizing that what they're doing isn't helpful.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I mean when I say this is a formula for world peace, world personal relationships.
So we get to give one of those to Donald Trump.
Donald Trump needs to read this book if he
Yeah.
hasn't already.
He probably has.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
I don't know. I don't know what to say about Donald Trump. Oh my gosh, that brings me up to a whole nother level.
Okay, well, let's just
we
stick
could talk
with
about
the
Donald
positive.
Trump all hour.
I don't know
okay?
how. I don't know. He's getting stuff done.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not for or against him.
No, he's
Yeah.
getting stuff done, but
Yeah.
his comments are sometimes not.
They can trigger people, and triggers. So I was going to talk about triggers too.
Okay.
But before I do,
All right.
I want to say the basics. Okay, so in nonviolent communication, you have an observation rather than a judgment. We could talk a lot just about that.
Okay.
Then you have
so
a feeling
listen.
rather than a non-feeling. And I have a list of non-feelings.
Listen, not react.
Yeah, habitual reactions can cause problems sometimes. And then we create, then we decide what our needs are, and we differentiate between a need and a strategy. So for example, if I say, I have a need for money, that is actually incorrect. That is a strategy to fulfill needs. So when I say I need money, what I'm really saying is, well, I would like to have a house to live in. I would like to have a car to drive.
And
And it
food.
takes a strategy of money in this society to achieve that. So it can be really tricky to differentiate between what a need is and what a
Want.
result, or not a result, what was I saying? A
That
strategy.
A strategy.
A strategy. Strategies are not needs. And that's where people get caught, because they think, well, I just got to implement this strategy. Well, don't you like my strategy? Like, I have to give examples.
Yes.
So, a wife comes home, or a husband comes home, and the wife is saying, why don't you come home sooner? Okay, so she's making a pretty clear.
Supper was at 6. It's 20 after. Where are you?
Exactly. Okay. Where was I going with that again?
Well, that is the strategy of.
The strategy. Okay. So her strategy is she's going to cook supper, and
Yeah.
she's going to tell him it's at 6 o'clock, and she is then expecting him to follow through on that strategy to show he cares, to show he appreciates, and to get her needs met of having an intimate connection with her husband. So she's implementing a strategy of, 6 o'clock dinner time, be here. And let's say he doesn't show up, and let's say again he doesn't show up, and again, and she starts feeling rejected. So what's wrong? Well, her need isn't getting met. Well, okay, her need isn't getting met because her strategy isn't working. Do you see what I'm saying? So she wants to feel a connection, she wants to feel love.
And she's trying.
She's trying because every day, man, she's making supper, 6 o'clock, but it's not working. Okay, and so now her need isn't getting met.
I'm thinking
and now,
I've been there.
and now her feelings are starting to get resentful. She's starting to get depressed, a little lonely, disappointed. Okay, and so rather than just do the same strategy over and over again, like, why doesn't she tell her husband, hey, I'm actually needing a little bit of care, a little bit of consideration. Have the wife explain the feelings, and then let's work out a strategy where we can get those needs met. It has nothing to do with making supper at 6 o'clock every day. Like, let's think of a new strategy. Maybe let's think, hey, come home, maybe 6:30, 7 o'clock, we'll go out dancing together. There's a new strategy. It fulfills their needs still, right? So let's not get stuck on strategies. Let's be flexible in our strategies and focus on our needs.
And try not to just say all of those things that you just said are not in.
Oh yeah, like the
And try to keep that
advising and the
checklist.
judging and the one-upping.
Yeah. I'm just trying to not have that as a reaction.
And so here's how I would approach that situation if I was the wife.
Okay.
I would try and empathize with him. Like, hey, what's going on with you? Like, I notice you keep coming home late. You're not coming home for supper at 6 o'clock. Like, that's my time when I feel like we can really connect. And you might, at that point, she might be almost like giving him a sense of judgment. And he might be like, oh, I got to defend myself. And, you know.
Well, you're
so,
late.
Yeah. So instead of doing that, what we do is we say, you could express your feelings and needs, or you could just go straight to his feelings and needs. Like, how are you feeling right now? What are you needing right now? And once he feels heard, and once he can express himself, and once she makes him feel comfortable and wanted, then she can express to him how she's been feeling and what she's needing, and have more of a possible connection. So Marshall
taking
Rosenberg,
the edge off, taking the
yes.
edge off first of all.
Yes.
Even though you're stressed out and angry and mad,
Yes.
you take a deep breath,
Yes.
be cool, be calm, and try to figure out what's going on in his head by asking him instead of assuming.
Exactly.
Try to not use all of those other techniques that I think we all use, but to just listen.
Yeah. And to really want to connect, to want to listen. Because
Wow.
that wife wants to connect. She wants to have that care, the consideration, the intimacy.
And that could be a wife who's coming home and the husband's just cooked dinner too. And I mean,
Oh,
that's, you know,
yeah.
it works both ways.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
not, you know, it could be the husband's at home taking care of
Oh.
everything, and you know he's not happy that dinner's getting overcooked, trying to keep warm too.
It's very easy to fall into a whole range of non-feeling words that I have here that I will still get over. Now, I do want to go to another thing.
Okay.
So once again, the basics. Observations rather than judgments. That's a show in itself.
Ooh.
Then we go into
Tough.
feelings, and then we go into needs rather than strategies, and then we go into how to make the request rather than a demand. What's the difference? A request, we are willing to hear a no. What do you do when you hear a no? Are you going to feel rejected? Are you going to feel,
Accepted.
angry? What we have to do once we hear a no is maybe try to understand why we're hearing a no. So if I'm wanting something, like let's say I'm contacting somebody, I'm like, hey, let's go on a date, let's have some fun, right? And she replies with, no, I don't want to. Then how am I going to respond? Right?
Okay, maybe next time.
So I might do 4 things. I might blame myself. I might blame the other person. I might feel my feelings and needs and empathize with myself. Feel their feelings and needs and empathize with them. And then I might even, after empathizing, that's the key, empathizing, I might even ask them, well, like, why is it a no?
Mm-hmm.
And is there something else that maybe you would want to do instead? Or, just to understand where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Because then it shows
Honesty.
Yeah.
And with
So-
honesty,
and
you'll get
communication.
respect.
Yes, and communication.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So take the moment to let the person be authentic
Mm-hmm.
and let them be honest.
Yeah. And if they say no, good.
Mm-hmm.
I would like when people say no to me. Like today.
Well, I don't particularly like
Okay,
it,
so
but,
today-
but I prefer
Yeah.
honest people.
Yeah. So today my boss phones me up. He's like, hey, you going to go to work today? I was like, no. And so all those feelings that I'm feeling, all those feelings he's feeling, then I explained to him, like, I got these other things going on. And so by the end of the conversation, by using NVC, using empathy, using feelings and needs, we came to an easy decision where we were both satisfied,
Oh, good.
where I didn't go to work. So,
Well, thank you for coming here today.
yeah,
then.
that's right.
I'm glad
This
that
is more important than work.
this is important because the message is, it's life changing. I believe that when you realize that communication is key to a healthy relationship,
Yeah.
and every single one of us every day is trying to be in a healthy relationship with the people around us, whether it be our parents or our children or our friends or our mates. It doesn't really matter. We're always trying to be understanding, and we always want what's best.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the information that you have here is a real eye-opener.
Yeah. It's funny though, eh? We want the best.
Yeah,
And parents want the best for their children. But sometimes how we do that, my oh my.
Yeah,
is
so
not,
like even if
the
you've got
best.
kids with issues, or maybe it's you who has issues and your kids are trying to deal with you.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, I mean, this is good for everybody in all ages, this
Oh,
information.
I have a 5-year-old son.
Oh,
And
he's gorgeous. What
I
a beautiful
use-
little guy.
I use this constantly. So the other day we're going to go to daycare, and right away, nope. Oh, okay, we're not going to daycare, eh? So using NVC, oh, sorry, my voice is a little cracking. So
Kids choking you up.
using NVC, not only did I have to encourage him to put his shoes on, he was putting his shoes on faster than I've ever seen him put his shoes on. And he was out the door faster than I was, just by using NVC.
Ooh, that's
Okay.
so valuable.
So there was no power struggle. There was no crying. There was no anger. There was nothing. It was just NVC. And that's how this can change people and change the world.
It really can.
And so here's something that I have as an important marker in the book here.
I
How
see
did-
there's like one every third page, but yeah, that's okay.
Well, yeah, there's a few. We won't get them all, but whatever.
That's all right.
So-
It's very important.
Anger.
Okay, yeah, this is an
Okay.
issue because people get out of control, especially now we're getting into
Yes.
full moon again.
Yeah.
Full moon, new moon. Everything that's happened during that cycle all
Yep.
builds up and
28
needs to
days.
clear.
Yep.
Needs to clear, and we have a full moon coming up, so people might want to, it's coming up on Saturday, so they might want to be clearing the air of everything that has bothered them all month.
Yes.
And, once they clear it and once the moon becomes full, it's like, oh, I feel better.
Yes.
But up until that point, people get to the point where, like, they're going to explode
Yeah.
if they don't
Yeah.
say what they're feeling, if they're
And
not
those are
being
all those
honest to
repressed
themselves.
feelings. Oh,
Everything
yeah.
that happened during the month that they kind of, oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, oh, yeah, it all
I
builds
don't,
up.
I don't
It
want to
builds
talk
up.
about that right now. Yeah, you made me really angry.
Yeah.
But I'm not even going to bring it up because I'm not in the mood to have this discussion. But if you do that, then when the
Yeah.
moon comes along, all of a sudden you don't have control of that anymore. It just, there's a trigger.
Oh my. Yeah. Ugh, there's so much
There's
I
a
can
trigger,
say
and
right
somebody
now. Okay.
pulls the trigger, and then out it comes, that
Yeah, all
not
that,
so nonviolent communication.
all that repression, all that denial.
Yeah.
And yeah, how do we deal with the tough conversations,
Mm-hmm.
right? How do we deal with the tough issues?
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to say for myself, where I was a year ago compared to now,
Mm-hmm.
I literally, there's days where I feel joy like all day.
Yeah.
Where it used to be only moments. Like in the past, it was moments, a moment here, a moment there. Maybe go on a weekend retreat, you feel really good after. But now, literally, for no reason at all, I'll just feel joy, and it'll be all day. And it's because of this. This is
Wow.
the reason, for me. Now, everyone's
Well,
path
it's
is
because you
different.
put it in.
Yeah,
you
oh,
brought
yeah.
it into your spirit. It's not the book. It's how you've interpreted
Oh,
the
which
book.
brings me to another thing. I want to tell people that we have an ongoing group. It's been for 6 months. We meet every week at a person's house, and we talk about this stuff. And the conversations can get very intimate. They can get very vulnerable. They can get very animated, like last night. Every Wednesday we meet.
Mm-hmm.
If this video is good, I'm going to be sharing it with them.
I think
So
it's good.
hopefully, well, it's nothing they don't know already, but
Yeah.
but
But kudos
we-
to
we
those
talk-
people
yeah.
who share their stories and put themselves in vulnerable places and
Yes.
give other people an opportunity to grow and learn through their experiences.
Exactly.
And when those kind of support groups, like I go to Circle, I
Nice.
find, because I do like the psychic work,
Oh, yeah.
and I feel that peace in me a lot. All the time I
Yeah.
have that really
Yeah,
high
yeah.
feeling,
Nice.
and not wanting alcohol in me or anything like that
Yeah,
anymore,
yeah.
because I got that.
You already
I
have
got
it.
that
You're
light.
already feeling
And then,
good.
Oh yeah, but a lot of times, like when the moon comes and everything, there's that
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
week of
yeah,
aggression
yeah.
and everything. But once I let it go, it's like, whew, it's over. Yay, I feel better. Like, how
Yeah.
about you? And then they might be a little bit, but I have to explain to them. Okay, well, it's right in the middle of the conversation, but it's a full moon, and I'm just saying this because I need to clear.
There you go. Because you're needing, yeah.
And I take responsibility for everything and
Yes,
say,
totally.
okay, this is about me.
Yep.
It's not about you.
That's right.
Can you please just listen? And
Yep.
anything I say that offends you, just drop it.
Yep. Exactly.
And we won't worry about it again, and we won't bring it up again. But I need to clear it.
Yeah, that's right. That sounds good.
Lucky I do astronomy, though, because if I can
Yeah,
follow...
okay, so there's understanding. They get understanding out of it, yeah.
Yeah, so it's lucky that I do...
Which gives you peace of mind, I'm
yeah, the
assuming.
astronomy really gives
Yeah.
me, when I can download that to the... Oh, no, it's just Saturn is out there really being nasty. And did you know Saturn used to be a sun?
I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, Saturn, I was just watching on Edge of Wonder.
Yeah, we could talk about a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, we could.
So
Let's go back to
there's
this,
still
though.
there's things that I want to talk about here. Non-feeling words. I'm just going to do a quick little run through here for people to realize that these are not actual feelings. Behind these words is feelings, but they are not feelings. Disliked, distrusted, harassed, hassled, ignored, insulted, intimidated, abandoned. How many people feel abandoned
Or
sometimes?
intimidated.
How many people have felt they are being abused, attacked, belittled, betrayed, blamed, bullied? Okay?
We're only in the B's, and I'm feeling already like trash.
So being bullied is not a feeling, or being blamed or abandoned is not a feeling. Being caged, cheated, coerced, cornered, criticized, to feel, oh, I'm being criticized, that's not a feeling.
I think I'm used to criticize.
And being discounted. Okay, so those are some examples. There's many more. I didn't want to bring a whole list because those are some examples. So the abandoned one. Okay?
That's just A, B, C.
A, B, C, D,
Yeah.
and then a little I. So.
Yeah.
So those aren't feelings. Feelings are more like if I'm lonely, if I'm sad, if I'm agitated.
How are those
and I'm
not
frightened.
feelings?
I know they're not.
How is
so Marshall?
How is
Marshall,
being abused, not being attacked, being belittled,
okay. So
not
abused.
a feeling?
Let's say abused.
Okay.
Because how is abused not a feeling? Because take away everything else and leave just you by yourself.
Okay.
Can you say I'm being abused? Maybe you're abusing yourself, right? Okay.
Maybe if I'm running garbage through my head and allowing myself to
Yes.
think that junk.
Okay. Yes. So that's the story. All of these words that I just said are the stories.
That's the
I'm
story.
being abused. I'm being abandoned.
So they're adverbs.
I'm being a victim. They're not actual feelings because there's a story attached to that.
So the noun would be the story.
Yeah.
Not that I know lots about
So
that.
to go back to being abused. Okay, so I was abused. Well, we can get a sense of what that means. We can get a sense like, okay, if they're feeling abused, maybe they had a need for safety or have a need for safety. Or maybe that abuse, oh man, it's hard for me to describe it.
Okay.
Real quick.
So so we're just going to take those as
Non-feeling words.
they are descriptive
They
words.
are descriptive words of a feeling.
They describe
They
a feeling.
describe
They
a
are
feeling,
not a
but
feeling.
they are not
They
a
are
feeling.
describing a feeling.
Exactly.
Okay. So those
So when-
words
yeah.
aren't serving you in any way.
They serve you because they help you to identify where your feelings are and
Oh,
what
that's
you
what we're
might be
getting
needing.
at.
So let's say someone came to you and they said, I'm feeling really abandoned right now. Like, you're never around. You're neglecting me. Okay, let's say you're husband and wife. I'm feeling really neglected right now. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And let's say it's even worse. They say, you don't care about me. Okay, so now I'm the problem.
Right?
I'm the reason. I'm what's triggering their abandonment, their neglect inside of them.
Right.
I can then, using empathy,
Mm-hmm.
recognize, oh, okay, so what they're really needing right now is communication. They're needing me to empathize. They're needing me to connect in a way that they're wanting me to connect to them. And I can see that they're feeling frustrated, angry, lonely. They're feeling disheartened because I am not providing their need for them. And they are seeking a strategy by coming to me and talking to me and explaining how, upset they are through their judgment of me, because they're ultimately, I'm being judged, right? And I could defend oh, I'm defending myself. I'm not neglecting you. I've been here all day.
I'm
right?
doing the best I can.
I'm doing the best. I try really hard.
Yeah, I didn't call you for 9 hours. Oops, sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't have my phone with me.
Okay, it's really easy to fall into the stories, right? And then to defend the story. And then the other person defends their story. And then a war starts.
Yeah.
And then we go to war with Iran. I mean, that's where we're at, right, in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, so... or Saudi Arabia, or Russia, whoever the bad guy is. Okay?
Against the Taliban, sure.
Oh, the Taliban. They're the bad guys, right? A couple of people in caves that are
We're
in
in a
pain.
cave. We're in a cave.
The Taliban, let's empathize with the Taliban, because we can. Okay, so, or let's even empathize with the Illuminati, like this group of people.
All right. I don't know if we're allowed to say that word.
Oh, yeah, we're going to be shut off the internet
Illuminati.
Okay, there's people that want to control, right? Well, why do they want to control? Let's empathize with that. Right? Maybe they're feeling insecure.
Mm-hmm.
They are needing security. They want to feel safe with everything that they've accumulated. They don't want to lose it. And they don't want to lose their control. And so they will implement whatever measures is necessary to achieve their goal of remaining safe and in control. And
Of everything.
and so, sure, but it turns out that actually they're just a human being. They're just having feelings and needs, just like
Not
everyone
reptilians?
else. They're just feelings and needs. I don't care what planet you're from. It's feelings and needs. Let's say that's a whole nother topic too. We could talk about aliens.
Yeah, we could talk
Okay.
about anything, yeah.
Because I have some alien stories too.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So we're going to sympathize for the Illuminati.
We can sympathize with anything, like people in pain, people who are angry, which brings me back to something I did want to say about anger.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're experiencing anger, or someone else is experiencing anger. What do? Marshall Rosenberg says,
Ooh, what do you do? Somebody's really mad.
somebody's really mad, or you're really mad.
Ooh.
Something comes up, man, you are so pissed off.
And it's full moon time.
Yeah, and you're in pain or whatever. So what you're going to do, you're going to stop and you're going to breathe. That's what he says. Just stop.
Breathing in, I'm breathing out.
Yeah.
And focus on that.
Yeah. Just for a moment. Okay, then identifying your judgmental thoughts. This is big. Okay, so all the stories that are going on in your head about why you deserve to be mad. He should have known better, doesn't he know?
Me.
Yeah, why is he being like that?
I can't believe this is happening.
And, having a 5-year-old son, it has provided me with lots of opportunities to where I honestly don't get angry anymore unless it's really bad. But even then, I can still empathize with him, empathize with myself, and bring it to a connective conclusion where literally my son almost every day says he loves me for no reason at all. He'll just say it. We'll be playing Lego and he'll just say, "Dad, I love you." And it's just okay, and that's when you know.
Fixed my door arch.
That's when you know you're connecting with somebody, right?
That's cute.
And so going back to this, identifying your judgmental thoughts. And that could be a whole host of thoughts. It could be from the past. Oh, my father was never there for me. Now you're never there for me. The stories, or no one cares about me, or it's hopeless, or whatever the story is.
Same old story.
Whatever it is. And maybe it's even an interpreted story, or the story that's been given to you. It's not even your story. You just took it on for some reason, like a cultural story. The third thing we do when we're angry, and how we can deal with anger, is we connect with our needs. And that's
Taking
where...
a deep breath on that thought.
Oh, yeah. That's
Taking
where
a
we
deep
can
breath.
literally look at this sheet and
Needs and values.
be like, hey, what are my needs right now?
Things we all need in our lives.
Maybe it's a little more autonomy, like freedom and choice. Maybe it's more connection. And that could be with community, friendship, nurturing, love, authentic, belonging, support. Maybe it's meaning, right? You want to have more celebration, clarity,
Inner
contribution. Growth is one.
Yeah, to feel that you're growing together, like to be in a stagnant position where nothing seems to be changing.
You want some movement.
Yeah, you want some growth and
Growth.
some new
Yes.
things in life.
Yeah, okay, so let's say you're angry because you're wanting growth. You're wanting something to change. You want
to do
growth.
stuff
Yeah.
and learn and
you're like, why isn't it
share.
going? Why isn't this happening? I'm frustrated.
Yeah.
I'm frustrated. It's not the outside
Spring
world. I'm
fever.
frustrated.
Want to go camping.
Yeah, I'm being agitated
Mm-hmm.
because I have a need for growth. It's like, oh, that's why I'm angry. And then you realize, well, I'm not actually angry. I'm just noticing how my anger is helping me to direct myself to my feelings and needs.
Mm-hmm.
My anger is actually my friend. So all these negative emotions that we feel, all of them, help direct us to where our unmet needs are. That's the sole purpose of emotions, as far as Marshall Rosenberg explains.
So-
behind that is the need. that we
So
have.
if we're angry, are we best to just say, what am I angry about?
Well, that's part of the story, which is good. You want to reveal the story. Don't be in denial of the story, reveal the story. So what is it you're angry about?
Maybe it's not even the issue. Maybe you're angry about something else, and something else was the trigger,
Yes.
and now you've just blurred your angry.
Yes.
I couldn't find a piece of
Totally.
paper the other day, and I
Yes.
got angry because I was looking for this form.
Yep.
And then the next person I talked to, I was almost not so nice to, but I had to explain right away, okay, I'm not in a good mood, and it's not your
Exactly.
fault.
Yeah.
Sorry that came across that way,
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
especially when it's in a text.
Texting can be a trickier form of communication. And then
Yeah.
finally, what we do is we express our feelings and our unmet needs. So I'm angry because I have this story. You can connect with the need. It's like, oh, what I am needing in this moment, like let's say growth, like you said. And then we can express the feelings of that because of that unmet need that we're having. So it's okay to feel those feelings. It's good to feel those feelings. It helps us uncover the need. And then we
So
can...
we're not just trying to bury our feelings.
No,
and say,
God,
don't
no.
feel feelings.
No, they guide us. And then we can use those to create strategies that work for everybody.
Okay, so now we know not what is the healthy communication then? What are the healthy words we should be using?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's a question.
Okay, so the empathy. Let's go back to empathy, because
And,
that's the
just
tool.
Just to as a reminder, we are on Just FM, Just TV, live on Facebook and YouTube. We are here in downtown Lethbridge, and I'm Deb from Debbz Den. Thanks for tuning in and watching. I am here with Sean Neufeld, and we are talking about nonviolent communication. And thank you for tuning in. And I just want to let you know that the views and points made on Debbz Den are those of Debbz Den and not Just FM. And if you don't like any of the things that we're talking about, please feel free to do your own investigations and look into your own, find your own truths for yourself. And just letting you know. Thanks very much.
That's good to say, because so many people are on their own paths and
Yeah.
they'll never come to this, and that's totally good. That's like
Yeah. But it is important that people, if there is something that's being said here and it's kind of triggered something in your head, I mean, it's time to start maybe doing some of your own investigating. And that's with every show on Debbz Den, is that I'm always bringing in different guests, and we are talking about different things. And if you disagree, that's fine. Just go and look up your own information and find it, and that's perfectly great. And I'm just here to inspire. And that's what's fun about Debbz Den.
That's awesome.
We just sit here and talk about whatever comes up.
What a great opportunity. I'm glad that you brought me in here today.
Yeah.
It helps me to feel my need of contributing. Like I feel like I'm contributing, which makes me feel good.
Right.
To know that I'm part of the community.
Yep. And
So-
that's a lot what Just FM is too. We have
Yeah.
many different shows, and they're all about helping community and growing together and giving information that we need to help life just a little bit better. And some of it's just really heavy duty rock or or the wrestling shows or there's a lot of different stuff on Just TV. Please check out our channel on Facebook, Just TV Facebook.
So I feel like there's still probably a lot of examples we could go into. And that's something we could do now if there is time.
Oh, let me check.
Um,
Yeah, we still got a few more
and
minutes.
it's easy for people to get triggered, like you said. And so what happens when someone gets triggered is, all those stories that we've put around it, all those beliefs that we've hold, suddenly come up, right? And suddenly we find ourselves becoming quite emotional about it, whether it's a good emotion or a bad emotion. the best thing we can do in that scenario is just empathize with ourselves about, have some compassion, because that's the other part of the empathy, right, is compassion.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I create more compassion in my life and actually want to, in every moment, have that intention, have more compassion for the people I'm with, for nature, for myself, for the world, for life. And if that's something that's valuable, then we need a tool to create that. And one of the tools that I've learned that really helps me is this type of communicating, where I'm learning about my feelings, my needs, my strategies of how to implement through requests with people. And you asked a question. You said, okay, this is all great. How do we actually do it?
Right.
Fundamentally, the biggest thing I've noticed when I view the world, the way we're all interacting right now, is recognizing the difference between an observation and a judgment. And that's the first thing he talks about. First, we have to do that. We have to recognize when we're creating a judgment and when we're creating a simple observation. And if we can do that, we will have a huge advantage in life. We will feel better about ourselves, and we will feel better about the people we're interacting with people we're interacting with as I try and talk.
So when we feel better about ourselves and knowing that we're using things that are helping people, communicating not only just for our self-satisfaction.
That's right.
And making ourselves feel better about the way we're communicating. But we're actually wanting to make other people feel better too while
Exactly.
communicating,
Yeah.
and being there for them.
Yes.
And that, I think, which is important for making other people happy,
Yeah.
is by being there for them.
Yes. And even if it's a tough situation, even if it's really gritty, let's say, or
Bite your tongue.
yeah. And in that scenario, that's why we've been doing these groups for the last 6 months, is because that's when you do learn and you practice, and you can say, okay, we're practicing, it's okay if you screw up, and then you take all that practice into the real world. And like my parents just broke up recently, they were together for a long time. And I use NVC to talk to them about it, and sure enough, it works really amazing.
Because you care.
All of a sudden, we're talking about things that matter. It's not superficial. This stuff cuts right out of the superficial. It gets right to the heart of what's really going on with people. It connects from your heart to the other people's hearts.
Wow.
Well, that's the hope.
Well, yeah. That anyway, you're creating room for growth. Anyway,
Oh, yeah.
Is that there's a lot of growth going on,
Yeah.
because you're putting yourself aside, almost, I would say,
Yeah.
in order to experience and let the other person experience their reality.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it
Totally.
feels like.
Yes. If
Is
I'm
it-
empathizing with
Yeah.
you, I'm putting myself on hold so I can hear what you have to say. Yeah.
Rather than trying to compare or put together something that you think is going to be helpful. I think you're saying the most important thing is to actually just listen and hold space for that person.
And to investigate, to help you investigate your feelings and your needs and what you might want and how you might want to change it. So I'd love to hear an example. Like, what's an example that you have about something that you are having troubles with, you feel unhappy about?
Okay. Well,
If you want. You
with
don't
me,
have to.
Okay,
I mean, this is
I
just
have
an
somebody
idea.
who's close to me who, has had say 5 houses, rental property, traveled the world, has a beautiful home, and with the way, this is how the story goes, if the way that the government has been over the last 4 years, their economy has gone down. They were in real estate. They haven't been able to sell houses.
Yeah.
Bank suggested that they put everything under a blanket. They just lost 5 houses in the home they're living in. They have nothing. Their bank accounts were froze. They couldn't make the payments. They've
Oy.
lost everything.
Okay.
Okay, to me,
That's a
I'm
huge loss.
very, very, very close to these people. They're my family, and I'm devastated
Yeah.
over it. And it's hard for me to even face it and never mind what they're doing, I don't know what to say.
Yes.
I don't know
go.
what to say. I'm
That's
too
where
hurt.
we learn what
I'm
to say.
too hurt
Yeah.
to even be able to know what to say.
Okay, so you're already identifying the feeling. You're hurt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I would say maybe a little scared. And
Well, of course, that triggers
yeah.
things in my life too. That I
Yeah.
want to make sure everything in
Exactly.
my life is
Okay.
secure. And,
Exactly.
everything in my book is
Okay.
like chips, and I want to
Yeah.
make sure I got all my check marks in the right spot, and that I'm not going to fall into that too.
Yeah.
But what do I say to them?
Well, before we do that, let's
Okay.
empathize with ourselves.
All right.
So let's empathize with you and see, okay, you're feeling hurt, and you're feeling scared, and you're feeling, what would be the word for if the world is a scary place? It's not scared. It's then I like to look at this.
Devastation for my family. I'm just feeling
Apprehensive, a little, maybe discouraged. Maybe you might be
mind blown
feeling.
with that could actually happen in a matter of a couple years.
So a little or nervous, maybe.
Oh, probably everything on the negative list is all in there. I'm just restless over it. Everything on that list is really driving home on this, and I'm too afraid to even. I'm almost afraid to even say, "How are you today?"
Yeah.
I don't even want to say that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of stuck.
Okay, so now you're saying you're stuck even.
Well, 'cause I don't
so
know
now
it-
there's
no,
a whole nother
no,
feeling. Look at
no,
all these
I'm-
feelings coming out, right?
Now I'm stuck because I don't know what to say to them, because I want them to feel better. And I know it's going to get better, of course, because it can't get
Yeah.
worse. It's hit the bottom.
Okay, so you're feeling a little bit conflicted, a little bit unsure about
Well,
what to say.
yeah, definitely that.
And so then say now what I'd like to do is go into the needs that you're having. So you're wanting to be there for them, but you don't know how to be there.
Right.
So-
I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Okay, so you don't want to say the wrong thing. So you want to be clear. So you're looking for some clarity. You want to show that you're caring about them. You want to
Absolutely.
show that you want to be close. You want to show compassion. You want to show empathy. These are things that you're wanting in life to be here for you.
Yeah.
This is what
These
you're
people
wanting.
have been here for me my whole life too.
Okay, so you're wanting to
They've
do-
always helped me whenever I needed anything. They were
Okay.
always there for me.
Yeah.
If I ever was sad or anything, I went to their beautiful home and used their swimming pool, and
Okay.
they have everything, traveled the world, and now they have nothing.
So I hear nurturing. They
Yeah.
nurtured you. You want to nurture back.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I don't know how.
Yeah, okay. So we're still working on the needs. And so when you say you don't know how, well, that means there's a need behind that. And Marshall Rosenberg says, everything we do for a need. Everything. Everything we do. Even if it's bad, it's for a need. And so when you say, I don't know how, you're saying, I have a need, and I don't even know how to get that need. Right? So what would the need be for wanting to express yourself? So that is a form of expression. How do I express myself? A need for expression, a need for ease, a need for communication.
Need to remove the big dark black cloud that's over my heart of sadness for them.
Okay, so now we got sadness.
Oh,
okay,
grief,
so
definite
what's
grief.
so what's the need behind
It's a loss.
Behind
It
the
feels like
grief,
a loss
yes.
of every.
that is
Maybe
a loss.
if we were a socialist country and we were just putting everybody on an equal flat basis, I could accept that easier. But
Yeah.
I'm not.
Okay. So what we're doing here is using nonviolent communication. We've made the observation. They had all this stuff, and now they have almost nothing of the material possessions. And then the observation is how you're feeling about it, and what they've done for you in the past, and what you want to do for them. So there's
Right.
the observation. We've covered the feelings. There's a lot of them. Now we're covering the needs, and there's also a lot of them. Usually that's how it goes. It's complex. So I'm also getting the sense that you'd like to have a little more, like, the world working in a more harmonious way, let's say. Like, it goes beyond just them, and it goes beyond just this need for money and security. It sounds almost like you're wishing that life was just easier. Why is life being so difficult?
Yeah.
I may
And it's
be
hard
wrong.
not to blame the government.
Yeah, that's right. We're not going to be blaming anybody because it's all about our feelings and needs.
Right.
Okay. So how do you approach them knowing what your feelings and needs are? You could literally say everything you just said to me. I feel like I don't know how to respond. I'm feeling really hurt. I'm feeling a lot of like
I don't think that's going to be
loss or
helpful for her right
and
at
it
this
might not
point.
be. It might not be. But this is
I
how
wanna
you're
help her.
showing and and say that.
Mhm.
What you just said. I realize that this might not be helpful for you right now. That's what you say.
Well,
I realize this might not be helpful for you right now, but I have some things that I'm wanting to say, I'm wanting to share, and I'm hoping you're willing to hear me out about this. And then you can talk about how you feel, and you can explain that what you're really needing is just to have some care, some closeness, some nurturing, and you want to show them that you're authentically being present for their situation, right? That sounds like what you're wanting.
yes.
Is it? Okay.
Yes, that's what I want. I want
Yeah.
to make sure that they know that I'm here authentically to, to be supportive emotionally.
Okay, and
Because-
here's a question.
I don't know. I can't help financially, but maybe, emotionally, if I can help or do anything.
Yeah. Here's a question. What would prevent you from saying what we just said now to them?
Oh, I probably did. I probably would have.
Yeah.
Um,
But maybe there's a fear.
yeah.
A fear that you're going to be
Saying the wrong thing.
Saying, okay, a fear you're saying the wrong thing. Okay.
You know.
What other fears might be coming up?
Well,
A fear that it might not matter, that you might not connect in the way you want, right?
I think it's more that I just wish it didn't happen, and I wish it wasn't there, and I would rather,
Okay.
I just
This is good.
really don't even want to face it.
You don't even want to face it. How many people can say that about their issues?
Okay. See?
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody can say that.
I just don't even
Don't
wanna,
even wanna deal with
A lot
it.
of people are, breaking up with and they got to
Oh,
find
yeah.
a new place to live, and they're getting evicted, or their house is foreclosing, and there's their business didn't make it, their businesses are being closed down. I'm hearing it so often that there's so many people that are going through this, and it's like, what can I do to help? I can have you here.
Yeah.
And this to me feels like I'm doing a little bit here on Debbz Den
Nice.
to try to help.
Nice.
And that's,
See? So this is fulfilling
yeah,
a need for you.
This is fulfilling
There
my
we
need
go.
by having you come on
And when you
today.
fulfill a need, you have these feelings that
Yeah,
are the,
that
the,
I'm
the
trying.
positive feelings.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
help, and that does make me feel better when
There you go.
I make the effort.
So something I do want to bring up though is why I'm focusing on your feelings and needs regarding their situation is because if you do approach them, you need to recognize and own up your part of what's occurring here. These are your feelings and
I had to take a
needs.
deep breath on that again.
You're wanting to talk to them. You want to talk to them. They might not necessarily want to talk to you.
Yeah.
You're wanting to talk to them. Okay. Now let's pretend you never got to talk to them. What are your feelings and needs still? And how
they're
can you
still
get
going to
them
be
out?
left in that box.
Yes.
That box is still going to be
Yes.
sitting there.
And then will come full moon time. That's
And
when,
then the full moon time.
yeah, whatever.
Come to full moon time. Oh my
Oh,
goodness,
my-
we are about done.
Oh my gosh.
So it is.
We could literally just keep going example
know.
after example.
And there's so many more things I could talk about too.
Oh yeah, and that's why
I
I've
like
been doing it
aliens,
all
too.
year. All year I've been focusing on this, and it's just mind blowing. And
It
some of the
is.
things that have occurred with the people that I'm close to, even, it's just incredible, really. And taking responsibility for our own feelings and needs, not judging, which is so hard.
It is. It is
Yeah.
hard to not judge and just be and hold space for those people. But now we know that when somebody says they're angry, we actually just listen and let them express what their problem is.
Well, and try and elicit out of them their feelings and needs.
So
Because sometimes a person say, "Oh, that person, he was running all over, and I'm the victim." Okay, I had an uncle like this, and it's like, okay, well, let's dig into the feelings and needs. Like he could go on all day. Let's dig into the feelings and needs. What's actually going on? Not the superficial anger. I'm not interested in superficial. I want to know what's really going on. Underneath that is hurt, is sadness, is pain, and I want to know what can I do to help that guy to achieve some of his needs that are being not met in this situation, like a little bit of closeness, a little bit of care. Give that person care that he never got. Like,
Yeah,
and I
maybe
could
it's something
ask,
that's been going on his whole life.
yeah, that's right.
And he's been knocking on everybody's door asking for help, and everybody just slams the door and says, "What about me?"
Yeah. I've had great conversations with homeless people.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you learn, like, hey, we're all just humans.
Yeah, we are.
And suddenly the people we're labeling and judging, even
They
as
know so
evil,
much.
like, oh, there are evil people out there. No,
Aw.
that's judgment.
It is.
To say there's evil people. There's no evil people. There's only how I'm feeling and needing. And that's what's really going on.
So it's all about yourself and how you're reacting.
Yeah, and I mean, when you say self, well, if it's all
I
oneness.
am. I am
well,
about the one.
Yeah.
Are you talking the collective consciousness, or is that
Well,
another show?
Yeah. I did want to say stuff about the collective consciousness. You know, talking about nonviolent communication, I realized that there is another grid around the planet, another consciousness. Like, let's say, there's literally a field around the planet. This is, you know, my 16 years of spiritual seeking has
Oh, there's grid lines.
discovered this.
Ley lines, grid lines.
And people can tap into that field at any moment. And we are living in a cultural field. We're living, you know, the fields are very complex. I don't understand it. But I do know that out there somewhere is a field of compassion, where if we all were starting to tap into that, we'd come into our hearts more. We'd start to experience more of that, like, fifth dimensional consciousness that people talk
This
about.
sounds like a great meditation.
And we would hint, hinting. And we would naturally, all of us, transcend into this higher vibration. I don't mean higher vibration as in better. I mean literally just a different vibration. Let's call it different vibration. I'm not going to judge it.
I think if you're in a little bit higher vibration, then you're thinking higher thoughts, happiness, joy, love, compassion.
Yeah.
If you're in a low vibration, you're thinking anger, hate, manipulation, control. Those, I think, are lower vibration.
Yeah.
So higher vibration just means I'm thinking more positive.
And that's not to say I'm denying anger. Like, if,
Oh, no.
if I'm really joyful,
It's easy to flip that coin.
and all of a sudden there's anger, it's like, oh, well, let's dissect the anger, let's tear it apart.
Right.
And then when I do that, I'm naturally back into joy again.
Right.
So it's okay to, but I hear what you're saying. You're saying higher as in, yeah, you're
Let
right.
that collective consciousness of higher vibration into you.
Yes.
Just let it flow.
Yeah. There you go. You said it. So yeah.
So I know we didn't get to that point, but it's getting close to my meter time.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I was just wondering if maybe you wanted to do a little meditation, as we always do. It's going to just be a few minutes.
I don't know. There's so many types of meditations, right?
What one would you use for grounding for words, or for words come? Or I don't know. Do you know a little quick meditation we could do? There was one we were just talking about with the collective.
Oh yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, just to connect with that.
Okay.
And when you do connect with it, you'll notice that you just naturally enter into ease, and you naturally just stop judging. It's you don't even try to stop judging, you just do stop judging. Suddenly it's like, oh, I just care about everything. I care about everyone. I don't even know why. And it's not even like it matters or not. It doesn't even matter if I'm caring about other people or not. That's what's happening.
Well, I feel that way all the time. That's why I do Debbz Den.
There you go.
Because I always care what people think and what's going on in their lives. Even, if they're on my Facebook and I see somebody who says, their mom died or even their cat died, or, I absolutely feel for them. Or if I hear a friend is in the hospital, or even if it's their family, if it's people I don't know, I feel for them. I'm
So-
definitely that kind of
So
person.
you're talking about you're having these feelings coming up.
Always.
And these feelings.
And I put that
Yeah.
to the collective.
Okay. And when you're having these feelings coming up, it's because you're wanting to create a value in the world. You're wanting to have your needs met, your need of consideration, of care. And when those needs are met, you naturally feel happier about And so what I'm saying is, once you enter into this, whatever level of consciousness that exists, like, you feel all of what you're explaining, and you also feel like everything's perfect, though, too. Like even when someone's getting murdered, it's like, I don't know how to explain it. I know it's judgmental to say that that's perfect, but it's really strange. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Okay, we'll leave that then, because we are getting close to our time.
But that fits in with the meditation idea that you were thinking of.
Okay, so are you going to lead in a meditation?
I don't know. I don't normally lead meditations.
No?
I have, but I don't know specifically.
If you don't
what
want to, I can
kind.
just do a quick little one.
Yeah, maybe you should just do it.
Okay, I'll just do a quick meditation because we're running out of time
Yeah.
here. And you know what, I'm just going to use your soul idea, so if anybody's thinking, and you know what, basically everything that has been in the conversation has been about really stuff you could meditate on, almost everything we've talked about, all the different words, and just looking deep into inside. But just for meditation's sake, because every Debbz Den episode has a meditation at the end, this one's only going to take 2 minutes. It's very, very easy. I want you to just relax, and we're going to breathe in. Take a deep breath in, 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and exhale. Take a deep breath in, hold for 4 seconds, and exhale. And now the meditation's coming to me. I want you to continue on with that. Anytime you have problems, anytime you have anything going on in your life, I just want you to breathe in, hold it, and breathe out. Breathing in white light, fresh, positive energy from the collective consciousness, breathing that into your body and your spirit, and exhaling anything dark that's not serving you. Just continue on that, and just, especially when you're going to sleep or you're doing any kind of meditation, anything's bothering you, just calm your mind by breathing in. I'm breathing out. And repeat that. Every day when you're worried, just I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. And of course, I forgive you, or please forgive me. And I want you to breathe that in, just please forgive me. Exhale. I'm sorry. Breathe in. Exhale. I love you. Breathe in. Take that deep breath in. And exhale. I love you. So using those 3 things, please forgive me. I'm sorry. I love you. I think that's the whole.
Is there one more, I think? Is there anything else? There is one more.
I don't know, but if you just keep that in mind, that, you know, you're sorry, please forgive me,
right.
I love you.
And thank you. That's
And
the other one.
thank you.
Thank you is
And
the last
thank
one.
you. Just keep that going on in your mind. If you're having stress, especially going through the new moon or the full moon, or anything that's going on in your life, if somebody is sick, just, you know, somebody's hurt, if it's you who's sick, if it's you who's hurt, just take them deep breaths in. I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out until you can calm down. And once you've calmed down, just say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you. And just repeat that over and over, even if it's just to yourself and not to them. Just, you know, send that energy out. And I think that is it for meditation for Debbz Den today.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that was just a quick one. But, you know, I do think that it really helps when you breathe in that collective consciousness, the positive energy that people send up. Let go of the negative energy. Bring in the positive. Let go of the negative. Keep doing it until it starts working.
Mm-hmm.
Taking in those deep, deep breaths.
Yeah.
And again, at the Spiritualist Center on Sundays, 425 11th Street South. Sean's been a guest speaker there, and we always have inspiring guest speakers. This weekend there is no service for the long weekend, but we will reside next Sunday after that, and that's at 7 p.m. on Sundays. And there is, tonight at 5:30, there is a meditation with singing bowls with Jade Sotart, and there's only a couple of those ones left this year. So if you want to catch that, that's always fun too. Thanks for watching Debbz Den, and thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'm glad you came in. It was a little tough to convince you, but the information I believe that you've shared is just really kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah, and we could have just kept going.
Yeah, we definitely could. You'll have to come back again sometime soon.
Okay.
Okay,
thanks.
you're
Yeah,
welcome.
thank
Is there anything else that anybody wants to get a hold of you, or the meetings or anything like that?
you. Oh, I guess, yeah.
Mhm.
I guess the meetings are open to whoever wants to show up. Every Wednesday at 6:30 we meet and we talk about NVC and real life practical situations where it can get very intimate sometimes. So I don't know how you could reach me with that, but
We can always leave a link in the notes.
I guess just message me
Okay.
on Facebook or something.
All right,
I don't
well,
know.
we'll leave something on here. Your name is going to be on there, so if people
Okay.
really want to take a talk to you and want to
Yeah.
learn more about this,
Yeah.
they can do that.
Okay, perfect.
All right, where are we here? We're done for the day, so thanks again. We'll catch you next week on Debbz Den.